Hi there, it's Emma and welcome to Sax Bites, the 5-minute saxophone lesson podcast. I originally had a different episode planned for today, but then something happened with one of my students and I thought I'd talk about it a little bit. So one of my lovely young students just got a brand new saxophone, his first ever professional model Selma Paris saxophone. It's a really exciting time for this kid. He's worked really hard. He's very, very young, just in early high school, early Australian high school, which I guess would be middle school in the US, and has just done his grade 6 Amy B saxophone. So he's killing it. His parents have rewarded him with a really quality model saxophone. And he told me, and his parents, who are both musos, he told me that his favorite note on his new saxophone is the note D, as in the fourth line, all the fingers with the octave key. And it's his favorite note because it just sounds really good. And, on professional saxophones, the note D, it just sounds really good. It's the best note. And that blew my mind a little bit because I'm not sure I've ever thought of the concept of what is the best note on the saxophone? I'm really curious if anyone else thinks there's a best note on the saxophone, because if you do, I'm going to need you to comment on this, to email me, to DM me and tell me, because I think it's fascinating. I don't get it. I don't get it. I want to see if other people get it. But it did remind me of a quick tip that I wanted to share with you today. So I've talked on the tuning episodes about how specific instruments can have their own idiosyncrasies. They can have their own little things where this note is sharp and this note is flat, and you need to understand your own horn and adjust as needed. But it got me thinking about the fact that D, the note on the fourth line of the stave, is pretty much almost always sharp. So for a lot of my students, when they're working, they get to this note and they're getting to the point where they're a little bit more advanced in their exams and their work, and they're hearing that this note is always sharp. And so I often at this point teach students to alter the intonation by adding the low B key. So that's the first little tip for today's episode. When you're playing a D on the fourth line, if it's sharp, you can add the low B key and that will bring the pitch down. It's a pretty simple concept. It's closing more buttons off. It's closing more tone holes off, so the pitch is going to come down. But there's actually a lot of these little venting, little key adjustment things that we can do to improve our tuning. I've talked about how C, the noted tone below D that we just talked about, the third space, it is really flat on my sax, so I can actually add the middle side key in the right hand. And that is a really effective tuning tip. Another one is with high C sharp, you can actually add your right hand. So C sharp with the octave key, you can add your entire right hand to bring the pitch down on that one. It gets a little bit trickier when you're in the extremes of register. So with the palm keys, it can be a little sharp there, or if you're brand new to palm keys and on too soft of a reed, they could be a little flat, in which case you'd need to work with your air. And when you're down in the super low register, like a low B flat and a low B, it can be a little bit tricky to adjust there, because with a low B flat, you've got all the tone holes closed. There's no more tone holes that you can close to adjust. But as you work through, you can use these quick little fingering solutions to fix your intonation. But then thinking back to my student, I kind of posed to him, hey, if a note is always sharp or always needs adjustment, like I've pointed out to him, hey, you can use the low B key to adjust this. Can it really be the best note? I don't know. I don't think it can be, but that's just me. I just don't think I believe in the concept of a best note on the saxophone. I think if I had to pick a best note on the saxophone, I would definitely pick F sharp. So F sharp with the octave key is actually my go-to tuning note. I much prefer tuning to it. It's a concert A, so connects with orchestral playing, and it is just a richer quality of note. I like having fingers down in the right hand for my tuning note as compared to the concert B flat, which is a G. So I think that would be my best note on the saxophone. If you have one, please let me know. Try out how you can fix your tuning with little finger adjustments and little venting adjustments. And if you've got any great tips for the listeners, please comment, DM. I'm going to be sharing them on my Instagram. Sax Bites is our handle. And I will see you next time. Hi again, guys. This is Emma, just popping in to say my Instagram handle is actually Sax Bites Pod. When I recorded this, I said the wrong name. It's Sax Bites Pod. Make sure you follow me over there and leave me a comment about the best note. Okay, bye.